How are y'all doing, everybody? I'm gonna let people join up on this Facebook Live. We'll be talking about tropical depression number 22, the storm that's in the Bay of Campeche, the future of that storm, how that is going to be evolving as we move forward. There's a lot of uncertainty in the forecast moving forward. We'll talk about the weekend weather, which actually has a sunny delight in it. And that sunny delight is going to be your day of preparation. You're going to get nice weather to do whatever preps you need to be doing to prepare for tropical storm force conditions. And I think the biggest threat going to be heavy rains associated with this storm. And it may not even make landfall, but the landfall really isn't the issue here. If this thing can get close enough to us, we're still going to feel the effects of tropical storm force conditions, which could mean winds of as high as 39 miles per hour to 73 miles per hour. That's the range of tropical storm force. So sometimes we get that amount of wind on a typical breezy day with the winds out of the southeast. I think we're going to be able to handle the winds. It's the rainfall forecast that I think we've got to be perked up on and be paying close attention to how the models are suggesting the different rain outlooks that we're going to be seeing. And we'll touch on why some of that variability is in place. It has to do with the uncertainty of this feature moving forward. So here it is. This is the 10 o'clock update. The time now is 10:07 in the morning. If you're just watching this and it's 10:07, congrats, you're watching it live. If it's not 10:07, 10:08 now, then this is already recorded and I won't be able to address questions live. But getting into this, it's a 35 mile per hour storm just below tropical storm force. It is moving to the northeast at 7 miles per hour. So it's moving in a direction that's kind of paralleling the coastlines of Mexico and Texas. There is not really a whole lot of wind shear where the storm currently is, but there is a lot as you get farther to the north. So as it does get into this area, there may be some wind shear to overcome, which would mean that, some strengthening may be a little bit harder for the future of this storm. I do want to talk about, because I think this is important, some of the influencing factors on why the storm is going to do what it's forecast to do. So one of the reasons that tropical forecasting, I enjoy tropical forecasting, is because you don't have to have all of the answers up front. You don't need to know that, the specifics, and there's really no way to know it, the specifics of a storm and what it's going to do 5 days out to a specific location. The approach I like to take is to just take it one day at a time. And it's kind of like, the data gives you an additional piece to the forecast puzzle with each passing day. So yesterday, if you were watching this Facebook Live, we were talking about, when the storm moves north, is it going to go east or west? Is it going to go toward the northern coastline of the U.S. or make a turn to the west toward Texas? Right? So today we've got better insight on that part of the forecast, and it has to do with high pressure that I'm now confident will be set up over the southeastern part of the country. That's going to block the storm from moving in a direction toward the northern Gulf states. So this high developing is going to keep Tropical Depression 22 from going in the direction of the northern Gulf states. We've also got this cold front that's going to be coming through here later on today into Saturday. And that cold front is going to be stalled over the Gulf of Mexico. So what that'll mean is additional wind shear in the path of this. And it'll also mean that there's going to be some dry air that this storm is going to start having to ingest. And both of those things are going to be things that lead me to believe that the storm won't be able to intensify to its, heart's desire. I don't think we're going to see a really robust storm given those things that are in place. And that cold front, it's going to have shear with it. The storms that are in the tropics, hurricanes, tropical depressions, tropical storms, they are not systems that like to interact with shear. A lot of times cold fronts will come through and they will give us rain, right? And that's actually because there's shear and there's different air masses colliding around. You get differing winds with height, differing wind directions, and that's what creates the thunderstorms with cold fronts when they pass through sometimes. So you can have two different ways rain develops, and with the case of the tropical systems, they're called something, this is going off kind of a tangent here, but they're called warm core barotropic lows. Basically meaning that they need a stable environment and they rely on the warmth of the waters as they start to spin cyclonically. And they're kind of like a self-sufficient engine, and they don't really need like a cold front or a trigger mechanism to sustain themselves. So given that this is going to interact with this cold front, the shear that's going to be with the front and the dry air should keep some of this from developing too much with time. There's the spaghetti plot on this, and you see there's some congruency, there's consistency within the forecast models. They all individually look very ragged, but the grouping of them is pretty good, a lot better than it was yesterday morning. It was all over the place. So this is showing us that we're going to see this turn to the west, and it's going to get close to the Texas Gulf Coast. And also of note, not all of the guidance puts this storm over land, i.e. a landfall. I've been seeing this question a lot, and it is, when is it going to make landfall? It's a good question, and the answer to that question is somewhat irrelevant on this storm because it may work out to where the storm just skirts on by a lot of the Texas Gulf Coast. It doesn't make a landfall, but a lot of the Texas Gulf Coast could still see the same effects as if it did make a landfall. So you could still get a little storm surge, you could still get heavy flooding rains, and you could still get tropical storm force wind speeds, which are 39 to 73 miles per hour. So given this forecast cone, bringing it pretty close to the Texas Gulf Coast, the tropical storm wind speed probability, this is the chance of an area receiving these 39 to 73 mile per hour winds. And you can see very easily that all of the Texas Gulf Coast has about a 40 to 50% chance of experiencing this with the current forecast cone. And that doesn't mean that we're going to be on the high side of this. Again, I'm thinking we're going to be closer to that 40 mile per hour range, between 30 and 50 miles per hour, as this storm gets close and just tracks close to the Texas Gulf Coast here. The bigger threat, in my opinion, is going to be the rains that fall with this thing. And I shared this graphic this morning on our social media accounts. I did a weather blog on it, and this is all up on the website. The rainfall forecast, the one that I'm sharing right now, this is from the Weather Prediction Center. It's a branch of the National Weather Service. And you right away note that the numbers aren't that impressive. And it's for a reason. The modest numbers reflect the very high uncertainty with the forecast cone. So on the forecast cone, we'll go back to this. Look at how I'm chuckling here to myself. It looks like one of those thought bubbles, like where you have your thought right here and then your person's over here and there's the thought bubble. And then you have this nearly perfect circle beyond the weekend. So we're good right through here, through Sunday, but then this thing turns into almost a perfect sphere. And that shouts high uncertainty. So the confidence in the track of this thing, especially after This is Sunday when it's forecast to become a Category 1 hurricane. Remember, we talked about that shear. You see the downgrade to a tropical storm as it gets closer to the coast. But the confidence in here is not the best. So, having said that, you are going to see shifts in forecast numbers. You're going to see high numbers, you're going to see low numbers. The models are going to come in all different ways over the next 48 hours, especially until we start getting a better grasp on what exactly this storm is doing. And remember, we started this thing off by saying it's like a puzzle. Each day, the information gets better and you can add another piece to that forecast puzzle. And that's how these things work. So the takeaway from all of this is to make sure that everyone is aware that this thing is out there. You got to know about it. And then moving forward, you need to stay on this, stay updated. A lot of times, maybe you watch a Facebook Live like this, and then you just ignore it for the weekend, right? Tomorrow, the weather is supposed to be very nice, a sunny delight, absolutely gorgeous weather for mid to late September around here. So you forget about the forecast. It's easy to forget about it. You go on and you enjoy your day. Maybe you have Sunday, you go to church, and then you go back and go to the grocery store, and you get home, it's Sunday afternoon, and all of a sudden, there's a big change in the forecast from where you left off on Friday to Sunday. That's where problems can happen if you're not staying on top of the latest information. So my advice is to just stay updated. I'm not saying gloom and doom. I'm not saying destruction. I'm not saying anything like that. I'm saying what the data is suggesting to us. And by the name, if that storm and when that storm does develop into a tropical storm, it's going to take the name Wilfred, which is important because that's the last name on the hurricane name list for 2020. But these names then transition into the Greek alphabet, and the Greek alphabet will carry the rest of the load for the 2020 hurricane season, which we are only halfway through. Incredible. It's been so active this season. It's going to stay active. And I remember talking about this when we were signing off on the Hannah coverage. I remember saying something along the lines of, this year is going to be very active, and there's going to be a lot of storms out there. We just got to take them one storm at a time, and just get through these names one at a time. Just take them as they come. And we've certainly had a lot of threats this year. This one is also a threat, and we're going to stay on this over the weekend and into next week with the latest on it. I do want to pull the curtain back just a little bit and show you some of the data that I've been looking at, that I look at and don't necessarily show, in my timed weather segments on our morning broadcasts. But this is the European Forecast Ensemble. And what this is all of the different members of the European model. I believe there's about 50 of them. And you see that there's actually some congruency through the path of this thing tracking into the northern parts of its forecast cone, and then it branches off. It really widens out there. So this is just different iterations of the same model, the European model. And I'm showing this to show that there's still a lot of uncertainty. Remember that circular cone? That's what this is representing. We like to always show both of the models for transparency's sake, and this is the GFS Ensemble. And you see here a lot more variability with this one. And the consensus, the ensemble, and the ensemble mean, the average, takes this very close to Corpus Christi offshore, and then does a loop-de-loop and then continues on to the north. So remember that big circle. That's all of the possible tracks that this thing could be taking. So, you know, what I'm trying to say and express is we're on this. We're going to keep watching this. There's still a lot of uncertainty heading into the weekend, and more so even into early next week. I do want to talk about the weekend outlook because what you need to be preparing for is heavy rain. That's number one. Prepare for heavy rain. Some places are going to get popped with up to maybe a foot of rain. I'm not ready to go out and say what places will get that much rain, but I venture to say that somewhere along the Texas Gulf Coast, we're going to see on the order of a foot of rain. And I would prepare for the possibility of that. That's for people living in coastal counties and mainly east of Highway 77. I'm going to pull up the rain map again just to show you and reference that roadway and where I'm talking about on the rainfall forecast. So the highest numbers are going to be observed closest to the coast, and this is a good map to use for trends. I wouldn't get too overly worked up about the numbers because these are going to change. But as you go in about 40 miles in Kennedy County, as you go in about 40 miles from San Antonio Bay, Matagorda Bay, as you go in about 30 to 40 miles from Corpus Christi, the rainfall totals drop off a lot. So you could go from a feet of rain in coastal areas down to maybe 2 to 4 inches along Highway 77. And that's the road that connects Corpus Christi to the valley. And that takes you through Kingsville, Rivera. And then you could go 77 up through Victoria into Houston. And if you're east of that road, that's where the biggest totals are going to be. West of it, the rainfall totals go down sharply and very quickly. There also have been a lot of questions about the rainfall outlook. You know, Bill Vesey shared a model last night that showed 17 inches of rain. And that is true. That is accurate data that he was showing. And he was trying to get the point across that there's going to be a lot of rain somewhere with this storm. The issue right now with the rainfall forecast is the high variability from model run to model run, given that high level of uncertainty. So I want to show you just how different the GFS model was from when Bill was talking about it last night to this morning. So we've got the two runs. Last night's was the 18Z run. The data this morning was from the 0Z run. And now we actually have the 6Z that has come out. But I just want to show how different the two models, actually the same model at two different run times was. Here's last night. Go all the way back over here. That is 18 inches of rain in Corpus Christi. That's what the GFS was printing. That's just last night. Through Thursday. That's through Thursday. Now this morning, this is the GFS from this morning. 2 inches of rain. So the point I'm making is we can't go all in on a rainfall forecast given that the rain's going to be not until really Monday, Tuesday of next week, and more so that the uncertainty right now is very high. So the takeaway from that, I think, is yes, there's going to be heavy rain somewhere along the Texas Gulf Coast. But am I ready to go all in and say that a specific city is going to get X amount of rain? Not quite yet. I don't think we're there yet. I just don't think we're quite there yet on a confidence standpoint from this forecast. Okay, now I want to get to the weekend weather because I do think that we're going to get a really nice day of weather here on Saturday. It's going to be what I like to reference as a sunny delight. The disturbance that's going to clear us out and actually give us a weak front is now over the coastal bend, and this is going to move to the east. Here is the cloud tops from the tropical depression to the south and east of us. And This system is going to move over the area today, and we're going to clear up tomorrow. So this is going to drop this weak front in here. The rain chances go down as early as this afternoon, and the humidity is also going to go way down. You're going to feel the difference in the air, and there's that sunny delight that I keep referencing on Saturday. So Saturday is going to be the day that you want to get any preps done and prepare for the 30 to 50 mile per hour tropical storm force conditions and heavy flooding rain. So that would mean things like bringing loose lawn items inside, trimming trees, getting anything that you may have blow around in your yard tucked away, put it in the garage. Making sure that leak that you've been meaning to patch up in the roof is maybe fixed, or there's a solution for that heading into this weekend. So Saturday is going to be the day to start taking care of all that, because by Sunday, the surge of moisture associated with this, watch how we forward in time here. The surge of moisture is going to start to come in on Sunday. So you see how the center still stays south, but on Sunday, we could start seeing, these tropical rains moving in. So Saturday looks good. I can't wait to be outside Saturday. It's true. Can't wait to be outside on Saturday. And I'm just going to show the Sunny Delight checklist just because it's not just an arbitrary phrase that I like to use on the really nice days of weather around here. I actually have a checklist that I go through, and if it gets satisfied, it equals a sunny delight. And I call it that because I get tired of saying, when we have really nice runs of weather, I get tired of saying every single time it's going to be nice around here, oh, well, we're going to have comfortable temperatures with sunny skies, light winds, and low humidity. I would rather just say, we're going to have a sunny delight. So this is the checklist, and I don't change this. This is just what I look for, and these are the characteristics of what I think a really nice day of weather is. And this is all my opinion. So you can't really say anything about it. This is the Sunny Delight checklist on Saturday. And the checklist for me needs to have a high temperature between 67 and 89 degrees. Tomorrow's forecast high, 88. Okay, that's a check. Dew point, this is a measure of humidity in the atmosphere. Anytime it gets under 65, it starts to feel good, a noticeable difference. When it gets under 60, it feels drier. Tomorrow, we're going to be at the 62 number on the dew point. So dew point is going to be noticeably lower, and it's going to feel noticeably better outside. It's not going to be this mumbo jumbo of 75 on the dew point like we often have in the summertime, where it's air you can wear and super sticky outside. The sky's going to be generally sunny. The winds will be a little breezy, but still under that 20 mile per hour threshold. So the Sunny Delight checklist is satisfied. And that's what we get Saturday. Less humidity, still warm and breezy, but it's going to be a nice feeling day. Sunday, the weather begins to deteriorate. We get the tropical rain bands starting to move in. Those are going to drop heavy rain potentially, and it's going to start to get breezier. The winds will be on the order of 15 to 30 miles per hour from the northeast. And then we could get tropical storm force conditions into Monday and Tuesday, as whatever that system is, whether it be a tropical storm, a low-end Category 1 hurricane, whatever that is deemed at that time, we're still going to see and have the possibility of seeing tropical storm force conditions in the coastal bend. So that's all I got for this discussion. We've been at this for about 30 minutes now, and that's the latest. I encourage you to stay up to date. Whatever your source is, I prefer you to come to Channel 3, but the most important thing is that you stay up to date with your source of information. I know that we're going to be on this every step of the way, just like we have been all season long, just like we were last year, just like we were with Harvey, and just like we have been even before my time at Channel 3. We're going to be all over this system every step of the way. So stay up to date so you don't get caught off guard. The forecast is going to change, and we will be here to update everyone on what those changes mean for the coastal bend. It's one thing to see the cone. It's another thing to have someone saying and explaining what these shifts, what these cone adjustments mean to the forecast locally. So that's what we do here. That's what we strive for, and that's what we're gonna do. So everybody enjoy the sunny delight tomorrow, and then use tomorrow's nice weather to prepare for the big rains, heavy flooding rains, and gustier winds that we should be expecting here come as early as Sunday, but more so into Monday and Tuesday. That's a good question. I'm going to answer that really quick. The storm surge question. Given that this is forecast to be a tropical storm without a big forward movement in Corpus Christi and the coastal bend, so it's not going to have the same forward momentum like a storm that Hannah had coming in, where it was moving fairly quickly and just came right in. We were on that right side of the storm on its journey in. So that went through a 3 to 6 foot surge into Corpus Christi and a lot of the coastal bend. It was 6 feet on the islands, 3 feet in the marina, in the Corpus Christi Bay, North Beach area. This storm, given its forecast intensity and its track, I'd say that the surge is going to be lower than Hannah, probably about 2 to 4 feet of storm surge, 2 feet in the marina, 4 feet closer to the coast and on the immediate beaches. So those are my thoughts on the storm surge with this. I will hang out actually on this just to make sure that I didn't blatantly miss an obvious question that I may have just glossed over. But I think that was a pretty thorough talk about what to expect this weekend and into the next week ahead with this storm, potentially Wilfred as early as today, making its way and approaching the coastal bend and Texas Gulf Coast. Chris Castillo, should I cut my grass today? You betcha, or tomorrow. Okay, I will leave it at that, and hopefully everyone has a good and safe weekend. Ryan will be in, I will be in as we head into the weekend, and we'll keep you updated. So stay safe, enjoy Saturday, get ready for some rains Sunday and into early next week. We'll see y'all.